is about the photosynthesis. So we will learn today about the photosynthesis. So let's talk about this. So photosynthesis actually is how plants make their food, specifically the glucose, sugar. They use the sunlight for this, they use the water for this, and they use the carbon dioxide. Okay, they use the carbon dioxide, they use the water, and with the sunlight, with the help of the sunlight, they're going to produce the glucose molecule, and after that, they will produce the oxygen molecule. Okay, because the photosynthesis is the ultimate course of the oxygen and the glucose, which are essential for the human survival, for the energy metabolism, for the ATP, and for the cellular respiration. It's important to cover this topic. Okay. So the photosynthesis equation is 6 molecules of the carbon dioxide plus 6 molecules of the water with the help of the light, and of course with the help of the chlorophyll. The plants are going to make the glucose and oxygen. Okay. Let's decode it like a recipe. So 6 carbon dioxide, they come from the air, okay, via the plant leaves, and the 6 molecules of the water, they can come from the root of the plants. And with the help of the light which come from the sun, and the chlorophyll, which is green pigment in the plant cells that absorb the light energy, they're going to do the photosynthesis. Okay, these go through a light-dependent chemical reactions. Which products are made? This is a light-dependent chemical reactions because this reaction won't occur if there is no light. So products are glucose. This is sugar used as a plant energy. This sugar is used for the plant energy. Stored or use it in the cellular respiration later. And the 6 molecules of the oxygen, they are released into the air, used by the humans and animals to breathe, okay, this oxygen. There are steps of the photosynthesis, so light-dependent reactions and the light-independent reactions. Light-dependent reactions, they occur in the thylakoid membranes. I'm going to show you a little bit later about this. So light-dependent reactions, they need the sunlight and the water, and these reaction produce the ATP and ATPase, which is electron carrier, and oxygen. And the oxygen is released as a byproduct. And the light-independent reactions, which is Kelvin cycle, we're going to cover it soon. It uses the ATP and ATPase and carbon dioxide, which was produced during the light-dependent reactions, and they produce the glucose. Okay, so why photosynthesis so matter to the human body? Because of the oxygen production. Plants make oxygen, which is essential for the human respiration, and it's the source of the glucose. And the glucose made by the plants fuel human metabolism after eating carbohydrates. Okay, for example, diabetics, they depend on the proper glucose regulation from the plant-based carbs. And the carbon dioxide absorption, plants remove carbon dioxide, maintain the air balance. High carbon dioxide, which is hypercapnia, is seen in respiratory failure. Plants prevent this, okay? So plants, by receiving the carbon dioxide in our earth, they prevent the hypercapnia, which is essential for the human body survival. ATP connection, so glucose from the plants goes into the cells, use it in the mitochondria to make the ATP. And ATP is needed for the muscle contractions for us, for the neuron firing, and for the DNA synthesis as well. It's very important. And all human food chains start with photosynthesis. Even total parenteral nutrition formulas trace back to the plant compounds. Formulas means when lactating baby stops lactating at the months, it can be at the one month, at the 1 year old or 6 months old babies, they stop consuming the milk, they start the formulas, total parenteral nutrition we call it. They also made by plant compounds. That's why it's really important. Photosynthesis matters to us. That's why biology learns the photosynthesis, okay? So light, carbon dioxide, water, with the help of the chlorophyll and with the help of the sunlight, they're going to make the glucose and oxygen. Glucose is a food for us and the food for plants as well, and for us, and oxygen. It is important for our survival. So I hope you understood this process. Oxygen levels are higher in the areas with dense plant growth. For example, where the oxygen levels is high, where the forests are located, where the dense plant grows. Photosynthesis produces 2 billion metric tons of the oxygen per year. 2 billion metric oxygen per year globally. Okay, so and the medical oxygen, the medical oxygen in the hospitals is replenished thanks to the Earth's natural oxygen cycle, depend on the plant life, and the plants were used in space mission by the NASA to purify air and maintain carbon dioxide and oxygen balance as well. In clinical nutrition, plant-derived glucose forms a base of the many IV solutions like dextrose, 5% in the hospitals, they are made from plant-derived glucose as well. Okay, I hope you understood this. So this is the good illustration of how oxygen and carbon dioxide gases they exchange. Here you can watch.
The amazing process of photosynthesis. A look around at nature is an absolute treat to our senses. We all enjoy the colors and fragrance of plants, but seem to forget about their important contribution. Plants are an absolute necessity for life on Earth. It is so because of the process of photosynthesis. A closer look at a plant shows that it is firmly held in the soil by the help of roots.
So this is the root.
These roots absorb water from the soil and through the tiny tubes transport it to the stem.
See, water is going to the stem.
And then to the leaves. The stem holds the leaves in such a way that they absorb maximum energy from sunlight.
And the leaves are absorbing the
A leaf is a very important part of the plant. Photosynthesis, the ultimate provider of food and oxygen, occurs in the leaf. A leaf consists of a flat, thin lamina, which is joined to the stem by a petiole. The flattened lamina provides large surface area for trapping sunlight.
We're going into the leaf. This is the leaf structure.
A cross-section of the leaf shows the upper and lower layers of cells, which are flat and irregular. Below the upper layer is the layer of tightly packed cells. These cells have specialized organelles called chloroplasts. Chloroplasts contain the pigment chlorophyll, which gives the green color to the leaf. The next layer has loosely arranged cells with large air spaces. The section also shows tubes specific for transporting the absorbed water into the leaves.
See, these are
the lower layer has many pores called stomata. Each stoma is surrounded by 2 guard cells, which regulate opening and closing of the stomata. A leaf absorbs carbon dioxide from the environment through these stomata, which after passing through airspace...
Carbon dioxide is entering from outside to inside through the stomata now, and carbon dioxide and water going to the chloroplast.
Enter into chlorophyll-containing cells.
And going into the chlorophyll.
Both water and carbon dioxide molecules are finally absorbed by the chloroplast. These chloroplasts also have the capacity for trapping energy from sunlight. And this energy is used to synthesize glucose and oxygen from carbon dioxide and water. These oxygen and glucose molecules diffuse out of the chloroplast.
They're leaving the chloroplasts.
The glucose is transported through other specialized tubes to all parts of the plant, aiding in their growth.
phloema. Through the phloema, they're going out, and
The
throughout
oxygen
the
present in
all,
these air spaces diffuses out through the stomata.
and oxygen is going outside through the
So,
stroma.
during photosynthesis, oxygen is given as the life-sustaining gaseous component of the atmosphere, while glucose or food is transported to all parts of the plant and used for growth.
I
To
hope you
summarize,
understood.
green plants.
Okay, I hope you understood it. So any questions from this? So chloroplasts, let's talk about the chloroplast. It is the special organelle. This is mini organ inside of the plant where the photosynthesis happens. And the plant, solar power plant, so capturing the light energy and turning it into the chemical energy, okay? It turns the light energy into the chemical energy. You don't have chloroplasts in your body. Humans don't have the chloroplasts, okay? But without them, you could not breathe. Without the chloroplast, you can't breathe, you can't eat, you cannot make the ATP. That's why we all depend on that chloroplast, okay? Where the chloroplast is located in the plant cell, in the algae, okay, in some bacteria also, we call them cyanobacteria. Especially they are located in the leaf cells, in green plants, okay, in the green parts of the plant. Not found in the human and not found in the animals as well, okay? So how does it look like through the light microscope? When you look at them, there is a green dot spread throughout the plant. You can see in the electron microscope, two membranes and internal stacked structures, the granum and thylakoids are seen under the electron microscope. Okay, so what the chloroplast is made of? It's made of this is the chloroplast. It's made of outer membrane. This is the protective outer layer. It's like a skin, okay, that protects the organelles from the injury. And it's made of the inner membrane as well. We have three organoids, which is made of two membranes. This is the nucleus, this is the mitochondria, and also the chloroplasts. Outer membrane, protective layer, and inner membrane controls what enters and exits, okay? And the stroma, you can see the stroma here. This is the stroma layer. The stroma, this is the fluid inside the chloroplast where the glucose is made in the Kelvin cycle, okay? So don't confuse the Kelvin cycle with the Krebs cycle. So the stroma is fluid-filled space where the glucose is made, okay, in the Kelvin cycle. It's like a cytoplasm in human cells, but inside of the chloroplasts, they have, instead of the cytoplasm, they have the stroma and granum. So this is the granum, or we can call it grana, okay, stack of the thylakoids. A lot of thylakoids, they arrange on top of themselves and they're going to make the granum. And this granum actually increases the surface area to trap more light, okay? By joining together a lot of thylakoids, they increase the surface area and they trap more light, okay? It's like an alveoli, many small sacs to increase the surface area for the gas exchange. It looks like this. And the thylakoid, let's talk about the thylakoid. This is one thylakoid, okay? This is the membrane disc where the light reactions occur, where the ATP and NADPH is made. It's like a mitochondrial inner membrane, if you remember, where the ATP production site happens. And the stroma lamella, the function of the thylakoid is making the ATP and NADPH. So then the stroma lamellae, this is called the stroma lamellae. Its main function is to connect the different granum together. This is one granum, this is another granum, and these stroma lamellae connects two grana together or multiple granas together, okay? And the lumen, as you can see, this is the lumen inside of the thylakoid. So inside thylakoid, this is important. We will learn a little bit later. This is important for hydrogen or proton gradient, okay? It's important for the proton gradient. Let's take it deeper about the thylakoids. This is thylakoid. It's where the light-dependent reactions happen, where the ATP and NADPH is created here, okay? They are energy currencies. And the granum is stack of thylakoids. This is big structure of this one is called the granum. This is more light captured. It captures more light. And the stroma, this is fluid-filled area, which takes part. This is this liquid portion around the granule. This is called the stroma, where the Kelvin cycle happens, where the glucose is made. Okay, and the chlorophyll inside of the thylakoids. Okay, thylakoid membrane. There is inside the chlorophyll. This is the thylakoid. On its membrane, there is a chlorophyll. It absorbs the light energy, especially the red and the blue wavelengths. It's like a melanin in your skin, which absorbs the UV light to protect the cells. Okay. And the chlorophyll protects plants by handling intense sunlight energy as well. And the double membranes, they have double membrane, inner and out membranes. They regulate the entry and protect the chloroplast together. Okay. So electron micrographs, they always confirm that the chloroplast has the grana, stroma, and the membranes, okay, always. And photosynthesis only happens in the cells which has the chloroplast. It's confirmed in the classic experiments, always. And ATP and NADPH is made in the thylakoid, okay? They are proven also through the biochemical tracking with isotopes. It won the Nobel Prize, okay? And the Kelvin cycle, it's traced in the stroma, was discovered by Malden Kelvin, okay? After this discovery, he got the Nobel Prize in the year 1961. Okay, so you have to know about this also. So chlorophyll. So what is chlorophyll? It's a green pigment found inside of the plant, in the chloroplasts. Inside of the chloroplasts, they have what? Chlorophylls. This is the pigment, okay? This is the pigment found inside the plant cells in the chloroplasts, and it's essential for the absorption of the light, specifically the blue light and the red light, okay? And using that energy for photosynthesis. And the chlorophyll, it's a group of light-absorbing molecules, pigments used by the plants to capture the solar energy and convert it into the chemical energy. They always convert it into the chemical energy, which is usable energy. There are two types of the chlorophyll. So the first is chlorophyll A, second is chlorophyll B. Chlorophyll A, this is the pigment which absorbs blue and the red light, okay? Blue and the red light. This is the blue between the 430, they absorb between the chlorophyll A absorbs between 430 until 450, and the red light will be absorbed between 660 and 700 nanometers. Okay, main pigment is chlorophyll A. It's the main pigment that converts the light energy to the chemical energy, and the chlorophyll B absorbs the blue light at the spectrum between 450 and 500 nanometers, and it absorbs orange range, orange and the red, which is between the 640 and 660 nanometers. Okay, this is the helper pigment that expands light absorption range and transfers energy to the chlorophyll A. So chlorophyll B transfers the energy to the chlorophyll A. This is the helper pigment that helps to the chlorophyll A, okay? Chlorophyll B helps the chlorophyll B. So actually both of them absorb the blue one and the red one but they range between their absorption wavelengths, okay? Absorption wavelengths. So as you can see, this is the chlorophyll A, this is chlorophyll B. Their absorption spectra are different, okay? So chlorophyll A, think of chlorophyll A like a surgeon. This is the main worker, and the chlorophyll B as a surgical assistant. Okay, always. This is the analogy for this topic. Okay, they are located, the chlorophyll A and B, they are located in the thylakoid membrane, in thylakoid. And their main function absorb the light energy, mostly the blue and the red light. They don't absorb the green one. Okay, that's why the plants look green, because they reflect. They absorb the blue. Yeah, when you look outside, you see the green plants, right? And you think the sun is in yellow color or in the white color, because when the sun rises, everything becomes very bright. But the sun is made of 7 colors. These colors are appeared when the rainbow is available. Okay, when in the rainbow you can see 7 colors of the sun. So out of that 7 colors, the chlorophylls, they're going to absorb only the blue ones and the red ones. Okay, only blue and the rainbow. When it comes to the green one, they reflect the green one, so they don't absorb it, they reflect like a mirror. Okay, when the red light comes, when the green light comes, they reflect it. That's why when we look to the plants, they look the green in color because they reflect the green color. Okay, so what's the analogy for the for chlorophyll? It's like a melanin which absorbs the UV light in our body, but in plants they have the chlorophylls that absorb what? That absorb the blue and the red lights. Our body absorbs the UV light, our melanin pigments. Okay. And another function of the chlorophylls is to transfer the energy to the reaction centers, passes absorbed light energy to start the photosynthetic reactions in the photosynthesis photosystem 1 and in photosystem 2. We will talk a little bit later about it. It's like a retina photoreceptors absorbing the light and passing signals to the brain. Okay, so they also do so. Like a retinas, they also transfer the absorbed light energy to the photosynthetic reactions which happen in the photosystem 1 in photosystem 2. They also support the ATP and NADPH formation. Without the chlorophyll, the light-dependent reactions won't happen. Okay, they support the ATP and ADPH. Okay, without oxygen in, it's like without oxygen in lungs, oxidative phosphorylation can happen. The same idea here. They support the ATP and NADPH formation. Okay. So let's break down. So in the chlorophyll A, you can see the peak wave is where the peak wave. So it's starting from the 400 and it's finishing in the 700 nanometers. Okay, this is the wavelengths. So here the wavelengths in this matter, and then they are increasing. They are increasing the wavelengths. Okay, the wavelengths is increasing until the 700. So what's happening? In the chlorophyll A, you can see the peak where you can see the peak in the blue color in the 430s, in the 430, and between the 450, you see the peak, okay? Or I can say here as well, 430 and 450, you see the peak here, okay? This peak, this is this peak, and next peak is between 660 and 700 nanometers. This is another peak. 660 and 700. This is another peak. Okay, this is first peak. This is actually peak of the chlorophyll A. Okay, this is the chlorophyll A, the yellow in color. This is the chlorophyll A. And chlorophyll B peak, as you can see, this peak is starting where? Around 450 and finishing in the 500 nanometers. This is the peak of the chlorophyll B, which absorbs the blue light. And this is also, here you can see also between the 640 and until 660. This is the chlorophyll B peak. Both chlorophylls now, chlorophyll B and the chlorophyll A, which is yellow in color, and chlorophyll B, which is bluish in color, both of them, they absorb the little green and yellow light, okay? Which is why plants look green. Green light is reflected and they are not absorbed, okay? They're absorbing a little bit, which color? They're absorbing a little bit light color, green and yellow color as well. As you can see, they're close to the green, they're close to the yellow as well. So this is when they absorb, when it comes to the green, they absorb a little bit, you see, a little bit, but mostly they reflect. The more deep they are, they won't absorb it. As you can see, this is the light absorbed percentage, okay, percentage. The more the light is absorbed means the more they are absorbing, not reflecting. So here they are reflecting, they are rejecting the green, they are rejecting the yellow ones, but they are absorbed a little bit. Both chlorophylls, they absorb little amount of the green and yellow light, which is why plants look green. Green light is reflected, they are not absorbed mostly, okay? In these axis, which is called, this is the x-axis and this is the y-axis. In the x-axis you can see the wavelengths, in the y-axis you can see what percentage of the light which is absorbed, okay? So Why this matters? So this matters for the oxygen production. Chlorophyll is step one in producing oxygen when you breathe. No chlorophyll means no oxygen. ATP production in the food chain is really important. Chlorophyll starts the glucose, converting the glucose into the ATP, okay, that fuels our human mitochondria. It's important for the human purification because it removes carbon dioxide from the air, which is crucial for the climate and respiratory health. It's important for the medical research. Chlorophyll derivatives used in the photodynamic therapy for the cancer treatments. So we use the chlorophyll derivatives to cure the cancer, okay? And it's important for the nutrition found in the dark green vegetables, which is spinach, the chlorophyll, which is found in the dark green vegetables. They support the detox and iron absorption and the gut health, okay? We have a special tool which is called spectrophotometry. It confirms the chlorophyll absorption, confirms the blue, red light, and reflecting the green one. It's all identified by a special tool which is called photospectrometry. And also mutation studies in the plants lacking the chlorophyll results in the death due to the no energy production. If there is a mutation in the chlorophyll in plants, that means that plant is going to die. And photodynamic therapy, they use the chlorophyll-like molecules, which we call the porphyrins. They're activated by the light to kill the tumor cells. We use the photosynthetic materials as well to kill the cancer. And also NASA, you know what's NASA? NASA uses the chlorophyll measurement to access the global photosynthetic activity and the climate change data. Okay, and the research on the chlorophyll supplementation shows antioxidant properties. Okay, that study was done in 2020s. And the chlorophyll is like a solar panel. It captures the sunlight, sends electricity to the house. It's like sending the energy to the photosystems. Photosystem is like a house, and the electricity and energy looks like the electricity. So it looks like a solar panel, those chlorophylls. Um, and that electricity powers everything inside. Okay. So here, let's close a look here. So these are the first stage of the photosynthesis happening inside the thylakoid membrane of the chloroplasts. They require the light to run. They use the light energy. As you can see, they're using the sunlight energy. This is the light energy. Using the light energy, they use the splitted water. They're using the water, and they're producing what? At the end, they're producing the ATP. They're producing NADPH, and they are releasing the oxygen outside. So oxygen is released outside. It should be released from here outside. Okay, see oxygen released. It's written here. And these products then power the next stage, which is called the Kelvin cycle. This is the light-dependent reaction. This is the light-independent reaction. And these products, ATP and ADPH, and also carbon dioxide, then power the next stage, which is called the Kelvin cycle or light-independent reactions. Okay, so sunlight is heating to the photosystem too. As you can see here, these are the photosynthesis photosystem too, and inside them they have the chlorophylls. Okay, so photosystem, the light is heating to the photosystem too. Light excites the electrons in the chlorophyll. In the chlorophyll, the light is exciting the electrons. They are becoming active, and these high energy electrons are passed to the electron transport chain, and this electron is passing through the electron transport chain here as well. This is the electron transport system. Okay, think of how light excites the rods and the cones in your retina, sending the electrical signals. It looks like this. And water splitting, photolysis. This is called the photolysis, splitting of the light. Photolysis. This is called the photolysis. So photolysis, the electrons lost by the photosystem 2 are replaced by splitting water. We are losing the electrons here because they are moving, right? We are losing those electrons, but these electrons should be replaced. How it will be replaced? By water splitting. okay? And oxygen is released as a waste product here. As a waste product, the oxygen is released. We don't need the oxygen. So how water splitting is happening? Two water molecules, imagine they split, four electrons is released outside, and oxygen molecule will be released as well. Okay, this is how the splitting is happening. So this step was the first identified using the radioactive oxygen isotopes in the plant studies. Okay, this is called the Hill reaction. And the electron moves through the electron transport chain. Okay, those electrons will move through the electron transport chain. Electrons fall through the protein carriers like dominoes, releasing the energy. This energy is used to pump more hydrogen ions. What they're doing, so these electrons fall through the protein carriers, they release the energy like a dominoes. Okay, they release the energy, and that energy is used to pump hydrogen to inside. So the hydrogen, which is located outside, which is located in the stroma, they're going to go into the lumen of the thylakoid. They're moving to the lumen of the thylakoid, like the mitochondria creating a proton gradient in the inner membrane during the cellular respiration. They're also doing this job, okay? And this energy of the electrons is used to pump more hydrogen ions into the lumen. They create the proton gradient here. And the ATP is made by the ATP synthase. As you can see, this is the ATP. This is ATP synthase, and energy is created by ATP synthase. Proton ions in the lumen, they rush back into the stroma because a lot of hydrogen, a lot of protons, through the facilitated diffusion, when there is a high concentration of the protons inside, they rush outside through the facilitated diffusion, through the membrane, they rush outside through the enzyme, which is called the ATP synthase, okay? And this kinetic energy, which is released by this movement of the protons, they make ATP from ATP. So ATP is phosphorylated and make ATP, okay? This is like what happens in your mitochondria making ATP that fuels your neurons, muscles, and the heart. They're also doing so. The plants are producing also ATP molecules. And electrons reaching to the photosystem 1. As you can see, the electrons which started from the photosystem 1 reaching to the photosystem 1, okay, from photosystem 2, electrons reaching to the photosystem 1. So they are re-energized by more sunlight. You can see the sunlight is coming to the photosystem 1 as well, and those electrons, they are re-energized by more sunlight, then pass it to the NADP. That more energized electrons, they are passing to the NADP plus. This is oxidized state of the electron carriers, and they are becoming NADPH. Those electrons are reducing the NADP plus to the NADPH molecules, okay? And one proton will also be added to this molecule. NADP plus hydrogen plus two electrons makes NADPH, okay? NADPH is used in the liver detox, in the cholesterol synthesis, and immune defense in your own cells, okay? And final output, what's the final output? Let's summarize. Oxygen is released, okay? Oxygen is released outside, and also ATP is made. This is the ATP, and NADPH is made. Okay, NADPH provides the electrons for the sugar synthesis later for the light-dependent reactions. They are electron carriers. They provide the electrons to the Calvin cycle. Okay, ATP, they power the Calvin cycle to make more glucose, and the oxygen released into the air, and you breathe this oxygen. Okay, I hope you understood this diagram. And the sunlight energy is used to split the water. Okay, that's all happening because of the sunlight. Sunlight, okay, energy is used to split the water, making the ATP, making the NADPH, and releasing the oxygen. All inside is happening in the thylakoid membranes. So this is one thylakoid, and this is the membrane of the thylakoid. Okay. I hope you understood. So there is an experiment which is done in 19 1939 with Emerson. It's called Emerson's experiment. They provided the light and water were needed to release oxygen in isolated chloroplasts. Okay, and ATP synthase structure and function was discovered by the Nobel Prize winner Paul Boyer. Okay, Paul Boyer discovered the ATP synthase structure and its function, okay, in plant cells. And NADPH's role in biosynthesis is proven in the human metabolism, specifically in the fatty acid in the DNA synthesis. And electron transport chain in chloroplasts and mitochondria show similar mechanisms. Okay, they're similar. Electron transport chain in the mitochondria and in the plants, they're same. They prove the evolutionary conservation. Okay, they prove the evolutionary conservation. Our mitochondria look like this. Okay, so clinical relevance. So for the nutrition, green leafy vegetables, they are rich in the chlorophyll and NADPH sources. They are good detoxes for the liver. For the pharmacology, many drugs are plant-derived, okay, need chloroplasts to grow. In the pharmacology, we need the chloroplasts in order to make the drugs. And for the metabolism, all glucose metabolism starts with photosynthesis energy, all of them. And oxygen you derive to patients is produced from the photosynthesis as well. And for the immunology, NADPH made in the plants also fuels NADPH oxidase in neutrophils. They use it to kill the bacteria as well. Okay, any questions? So light, what is light? Actually, light, it's a form of the energy. So, and electromagnetic spectrum, and plants use the specific small portions of it, okay? The visible spectrum. Electromagnetic spectrum, this is the light in just small part of the electromagnetic energy spectrum. The light is absorbed by the chlorophyll in plant cells to drive the light-dependent reactions, okay? So light, this is the dual nature, wave plus the particle. The light is made of the light which you see is made of the wave and they are made of the small particles, okay? It has wavelengths and the frequency. Each wave has its wavelengths and the frequency, okay? For example, X-ray also have the wavelengths and radio waves, they also have the wavelengths. In the X-ray, the wavelength is short. In the radio waves, the wavelength is more. And the photons, they carry the energy as small pockets, okay? We call it photons or we call it particles, okay? The particles or photons, they are one thing. The photons, they carry the energy as small pockets like bullets, okay? So this is important. In photosynthesis, the photons from the sunlight, they hit the chlorophylls, they boost the electrons and power the ATP and NADPH production always, okay? And what is electromagnetic spectrum? It includes all types of the electromagnetic waves. This electromagnetic spectrum includes all types of the electromagnetic waves from the long radio waves to the short gamma rays, okay? It includes all waves, radio waves, microwaves, infrared waves, visible light waves, ultraviolet waves, X-rays, and the gamma rays. All of them use the electromagnetic spectrum. They are all electromagnetic waves. Okay, you have to know about them. So, but the visible spectrum, as you can see, these are the waves, gamma rays, X-rays, UV rays, infrared, and the radio waves. All of them are examples to the electromagnetic waves. For example, the radio waves, they are the longest waves. They can extend from the meters to the kilometers, okay? So MRI imaging uses the radio frequency pulses, okay? The MRI, magnetic resonance imaging, they use the radio waves. And the microwaves, there is no illustration of the microwaves, but the microwaves, they extend from the millimeters to the centimeters, use it in the diathermy therapy. And the infrared waves, they are the infrared waves, and they are thermal imaging in the burns and inflammation. They are used, okay? And this is the visible light. This is just the light that we can see. We cannot see infrared, we cannot see the radio waves, we cannot see the UV, we cannot see X-rays, we cannot see the gamma rays. This is the visible light which we can see. Okay, this is the only light spectrum. It's the only electromagnetic wave that we can see, which is visible light. It extends from 400 nanometers until the 700 nanometers, from 400 to 700 nanometers. It's used in the endoscopy, in the retinal imaging. Okay, and UV light, you know, the UV light is from 10 to 400 nanometer. UV light causes the DNA damage, which leads to the skin cancer. And the X-rays, they, as you can see, they have the high energy. The more left you go, they have the higher energy. The more right you go, they have the lower energy, but longer wavelengths. Here, shorter wavelengths. Okay, so high energy. So the visible spectrum is between 400 and 700 nanometers. We talked about this. So X-rays, the X-rays less than 10 nanometers. It's used in the diagnostic imaging. And the gamma rays, they are less than 1 nanometer. They use it in the cancer therapy, in the radiotherapy, The visible spectrum is between 400 and 700 nanometers. Plants use mostly the blue and the red one light for the photosynthesis. Out of this visible light, plants only use what? Blue and the red light for the photosynthesis. Okay, chlorophyll 2 or chlorophyll 1 or chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B, they absorb the best. Okay, it's shown in the graph. Chlorophyll A and the chlorophyll B, they use it mostly. Chlorophyll A, the peak absorption is between the 430 and the 453. Okay, 430 for the blue one, the peak absorption. And for the, this is the blue color here. This is the red color, blue and the red. Why? Because as you can see, which is closer to the 400 will be blue color, which is closer to the 700 nanometers will be red color. The peak absorption of the chlorophyll A will be for the blue one 430, and for the red one will be 662. Okay, this is the main pigment. For the chlorophyll B, it will be 453 for the absorption of the blue light. This is the peak, 453. And for the red one will be 642 for the orange and red. This is the accessory pigment. Okay. And the green light is reflected. As you can see, the green light is mostly in the center. As you can see, this is the green light. This green light is this is reflected outside. This will be absorption. The more tall it is, the more it is absorbed. The more less it is, the more they are below, the means the more they are reflected. Okay, the more absorption, where it happens, the more absorption in the peak waves, they are absorbed. Okay, as you can see, the more peak they are, the more they are absorbed. Okay, for example, the blue is mostly absorbed in the chlorophyll B, and the red is mostly absorbed by chlorophyll A, according to the peaks. Okay, so what happens when the light hits the chlorophyll? The light hits the chlorophyll, electrons in the chlorophyll, they get excited, okay? Light hitting the chlorophyll, they are hitting the chlorophyll, and electrons are excited, they are more excited, like neurons firing when it's stimulating. And energy is transferred to start the electron transport chain, okay? So then electrons move when they are excited. When they move, they make the proton gradient inside the lumen. And when the protons go out, they make the ATP. Okay, uh, that's it. In this graph, I hope you understood this graph. Y-axis, this axis shows the absorption, and this x-axis shows the wavelengths in the nanometers. Okay, and the peaks, you can see the chlorophyll A peaks between the 430 and 662, and chlorophyll B is peaking between the 453 and 642. These are the most efficient light colors for the energy capture. And all of them contain the energy. Okay, energy. In the blue, you also have the energy. In the red color, you also have the energy. In the blue, you have more energy compared to the red one. Okay, these are the wavelengths. You see, this is the short wavelengths, and this is the long wavelengths. Okay. So photon energy, use it in the lasers for the surgery, for the phototherapy of the jaundice when the baby is born, when the jaundice identified when they are yellow in color, they use the phototherapy, they use the photon energy. And the wavelengths, different tissues absorb different light, same as the chlorophyll absorbing the specific light, okay? Uh, who, who identified the photoelectric effect, this effect? Powered by the light has particle nature. So in the light, there is a photon. Who identified this? Who said that the light has the nature that has a particle, which is called the photons? Einstein. Okay. Einstein's photoelectric effect got the Nobel Prize. Okay. And the action spectra in the plants match the chlorophyll absorption peaks, confirming its real energy driver. And as spectroscopy is used in hospital devices like in the pulse oximeters, based on the light absorption by hemoglobin. Okay, spectroscopy. Okay, you know the pulse oximeter, when they put the device on your finger and they identify the pulse and they identify the oxygen saturation, it's using the spectroscopy. So the light is sent to the hemoglobin, and how much hemoglobin absorbing the light, according to it, we identify the level of the oxygen in our tissues. The more light it absorbs, that means the less oxygen it has. The less it absorbs, the more oxygen it has. According to it, they will identify nourishment of the oxygen in the hemoglobin molecule. I hope you understood this stuff. So what else? Visible light is between, I said, 400 and 700. Okay, not all light can support the photosynthesis. Only specific wavelengths of the visible light do. Which ones? Only the blue ones and red ones. Okay, so when the light is light, you know, it's a mixture of all visible colors from the violet until the red ones. Okay, until the red one, starting from the violet until the red one. Okay, as you can see, this is the violet color. This is violet. Okay, so after the violet, the blue color comes, then the green, and after that, the yellow, orange, yellow, orange, and red one. Okay, the red one comes. And this forms a continuous rainbow of the colors. Okay, when passes through the prism of water droplets, the white light splits into the visible spectrum, So gamma rays, I'm not going to stop. This is the use of gamma rays, use it for the cancer therapy. Okay, X-rays, you know, for the diagnostic imaging, UV lights, phototherapy for the psoriasis, for example, they use phototherapy, UV light for treatment of it. And the visible light is used for the endoscopy. This is the visible light, and use it for the pulse oximetry. And infrared waves, they are used for thermal imaging, for inflammation, and the radio waves, you know, you listen to the radio, right? It's a wave also, and also it's used by MRI technology, okay? It's also invisible. We don't see the gamma, X-ray, UV, infrared, radio waves. We only see the visible light ranging from 400 to 700 nanometers, okay? The visible spectrum is very tiny, but essential for photosynthesis and vision, and this visible spectrum is really important for the photosynthesis. Only specific wavelengths, mostly the blue one and the red one, absorbed efficiently by the chlorophyll A and by the chlorophyll B. And the green light is located between 500, if I'm not mistaken, but until the 550. Okay, it is reflected, which is why plants appear green. They are reflected, okay? So I hope you understood everything here. Only blue and red light, okay? The visible spectrum, absorb it and use it in the photosynthesis. That's the important part. So what's happening next? The photons, you know about the photons. The photon is a tiny particle of the light, a packet of the energy, okay? And it has no mass, but it carries the energy. No mass, but carries the energy and travels as both a wave and the a particle, okay? So the shorter the wavelengths, the higher the energy. The shorter the wavelengths, the higher the energy. As you can see here, the wavelength is short, but the energy is high. But the energy is high. Here, the longer the wavelengths, the energy is low. Okay, the violet and the blue colors here, they have the energy which is high. These are the powerful photons. Okay, they are short wavelengths. They have high energy. They are powerful photons. Okay, photon is a packet of the energy. It's stored in the light. And also the red ones, they have the lower energy, they are red in color, and weaker photons are there inside. Okay, what do photosynthesis do in photosynthesis? Actually, sunlight shines on the leaf, photons hit the chlorophyll molecule, and that one photon excites one electron inside the chlorophyll, and the electron jumps from the ground state to the excited state. As you can see, the photon, this is the light energy which is hitting to the pigment molecule, which is chlorophyll, hitting to the chlorophyll molecule. And one photon, as you can see, this is just one photon, is hitting that electron and it's becoming excited. It's becoming excited, okay? The electron jumping from the ground state to the excited state. It's becoming excited. And this excited electron is that then passes to the electron transfer chain. It passes through the electron transfer chain, okay? And the result is production of the ATPs and NADPH. Okay, this is the first spark that powers all life. Photon, light particle hitting the pigment molecule, usually in the chlorophyll A. Okay, this is the pigment chlorophyll A, and the electron jumping from the ground state from the low energy. This is increasing energy. You see, the more up it goes, the energy increases. It's going to the excited state, eventually drops back down, and releases energy using making up by ATP, and an ATPH is made in this process. Okay. Photons triggering the molecules. In the retina, photons hit the rhodopsins. There are special molecules which are called the rhodopsins. They hit the rhodopsins in our retina inside, and the visual impulse is sent to the brain as well. And photons, they excite the electrons. In photodynamic therapy, light excites special drugs that kill the cancer cells. Okay? Light excites special drugs. They excite special drugs that kill the cancer cells. Okay, I hope you understood. Albert Einstein was won the Nobel Prize in 1921 for proving photons exists. He discovered the photoelectric effect, Albert Einstein. Okay. And we have a special terminology which is called the chlorophyll fluorescence. Studies show individual photon absorption leads to the electron movement. When electrons absorb the photon, they move. Okay, and the modern lasers therapy and orthogenetics are based on specific photon-electron interactions to each other. Okay, so any questions so far? We talked about the wavelengths. I hope you understood this about the chlorophyll. So chlorophyll is a green pigment, you know, chlorophyll A and B. B is helper, accessory. Chlorophyll A like a surgeon, head surgeon, and the chlorophyll B, this is the surgical assistant. You know, the green is poorly absorbed. It's reflected mostly, you know, about them. Absorption spectra. What's absorption spectra? So absorption spectra, it is only certain colors, for example, blue and the red one. In this case, only the blue one and only the red one. This is called absorption spectra. Only absorbed well in the leaves. And limited absorption is in the green, orange, and in the yellow. Limited absorption. Green, yellow, and orange, this is not absorbed. Okay, it's reflected. And the leaf absorption spectrum in the real life, leaf tissue shows similar curves with minor shifts. And we have the other pigments as well. Those pigments are called carotenoids. They absorb the blue-green and reflect the yellow-orange. Okay, they absorb the blue and the green. They are called carotenoids, other pigments. Okay, carotenoids. They reflect the yellow color, but they absorb the bluish color and the reddish color. Okay, why this is important in photosynthesis? You know, when the chlorophyll absorbs the photon, it excites its electrons, sends it through the electron transport chain. This leads to the production of ATP and NADPH, and after that, these fuel the Calvin cycle, which makes the glucose. Okay, spectrophotometers, they show the exact absorption peaks for the chlorophyll A and B. This is the spectrophotometer. Spectrophotometer, okay? And the chlorophyll fluorescence and the oxygen production increase under the blue and the red light, but not under the green one, okay? And the studies using the mutant plants, they lacking the chlorophyll B shows a stunted growth due to the reduced light capture. If they have the mutation in the chlorophyll B or chlorophyll A, this means they're going to die. And the carotenoids, they protect the leaves from pro-oxidative damage, just like the antioxidants protect the human cells. They are also protecting the leaves, okay, from photooxidative damage. So carotenoids are also there. That's why when yellow comes, when the autumn comes, the green and the leaves become yellowish in color because you see the carotenoids there. Because the chlorophylls are going to die because of lack of sunlight, the chlorophylls they die, and you see the carotenoids, and those carotenoids they protect the leaves from photooxidative damages. Okay, you see them. Chlorophyll A and B absorb the blue and the red best, transfer that energy to electrons, which power the photosynthesis, while green light is reflected, making the leaves look green in color. Okay. That's it. So light energy to the chemical energy or Kelvin cycle. So after that, we will start to learn the light dependent and light independent reactions. So let's talk about them. So structure of the chloroplasts, you know about the chloroplast structure, right? So it has two membranes, DNA, ribosomes, right? Has its own DNA, like a mitochondria, main function site of photosynthesis. You know the granum, you know the stroma, right? You know the photosynthetic pigments, chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B, and carotenoids, right? Which are yellow and orange pigments like carrots. And you know the phacobilins. So in the phacobilins, they only exist in these phacobilins. They exist in the red algae. Okay, algae means water-lessly suetlara. Absorb the green light. Helps in deep ocean. Okay, helps in deep ocean where the blue and the red light is scarce. In the deep oceans, there is less blue and the red light. That's why they absorb the green light. Okay, because the green light it has uh, uh, lower energy and higher wavelengths that can be absorbed. Okay, so they're called accessory pigments. So this is about the chlorophyll A and B and light dependent and the light independent reactions. Let's shift to them. So we have two reactions, as we said in the beginning of the lecture, light dependent and light independent reactions. As you can see, this is the excitements of the electrons. This is the primary electron acceptor, and this is the chlorophyll molecule, chlorophyll. This is actually the chloroplast, okay? Um, sorry, photosystem. This is the thylakoid membrane, the thylakoid space, and this is the photosystem actually, the big one. And inside the photosystem, there is a chlorophyll. As you can see, when they attract the light, they pass through the chlorophylls, and that light is exciting the electrons to the upper state. Okay, this is primary electron acceptor. This is excited state. Okay, when the electrons are excited, what they're going to do, they're going to shift through the electron transport chain, and when it's empty, this water molecule will be photolyzed, and this releases the electrons. The water releases the electrons, and it will again come to its own previous state, and this electron will also move up. So water is supplying these electrons here. So light dependent and independent reactions. Light dependent, this is light reactions. It's happening in the thylakoid membranes inside of the granule. Only in the light. Only in the light. Main function is to capture the sunlight using the chlorophyll, splitting the water, releases the oxygen, makes the ATP molecule, and makes NADPH. Think of it like charging a power bank with the solar energy. ATP and NADPH like the charged batteries needed for the next step. Okay, you're charging the solar battery, you're charging the power bank during the day with light dependent reactions, and you're using that power bank in the light independent reactions at night when the light is not available. And light independent reactions, they are happening at night in the stroma. Stroma, it's like a cytoplasmic fluid, okay, in the stroma. Technically, it can happen without the direct light, but still depend on the ATP and NADPH from the light reaction, so indirectly needs light too. And they use the carbon dioxide, ATP, NADPH, this light independent reaction is carbon dioxide, NADPH, and also they use the ATP, which was powered during the light reactions, and so they're going to produce the glucose molecule at night. Okay, glucose molecule. Hope you understood. Thylakoid membranes, light-dependent reactions, stroma, light-independent reactions. Requires light, only light-dependent reactions. Okay. Main purpose of the light-dependent reaction to capture energy from the sunlight to make your power bank full of energy, to charge your power bank. It's like a light-dependent reaction. And light-independent reactions, they use that power bank to build the sugars using that energy. So sugar is synthesized during the light-independent reactions. And the light reactions, I hope you know these light reactions, you know about the Kelvin cycle, right? So let's talk about the reaction center. What is it? What are the light reactions? They are the first part of the photosynthesis where the light energy from the sun captured, converted to chemical energy. How the light is converting to the chemical energy? The light, which are photons, they are converted to the ATPs and NADPH. ATP and NADPH, it's chemical energy. And this energy will later be used in the Kelvin cycle to build the glucose, okay? So where the light reactions happen in the chloroplasts, in the granum, okay, in the stack of the thylakoids, more specifically in the thylakoid membranes, okay? And each photosystem, what's photosystem? This is the reaction center, okay? Each photosystem has the reaction center. This is the photosystem. Overall, this is the photosystem. In the photosystem system, there is a reaction center. Okay, there is a reaction center, and the reaction center will be after the chlorophyll A, or the reaction center itself will be chlorophyll A, and the accessory pigments will be chlorophyll B, okay, and the carotenoids, they will be accessory ones, okay, but the reaction center will be chlorophyll A. And it's like a fuel. Like when the light comes in, pigments, they capture it and pass it inward to the chlorophyll A at the center. Okay, white light hits the top. Carotenoids capture the orange light here. Okay, carotenoids, they capture the orange light. Chlorophyll B captures the blue-green light, and the chlorophyll A, it captures the red-blue light. Imagine. Okay, and all energy flows to the reaction center, then all the energy coming to the reaction center, which excites an electron. Okay, there will be the electrons, and those electrons will be excited up and will move through the electron transport chain. Okay, So light is hitting the pigments, photons are absorbed, electrons get energized in the chlorophyll A, and energized electrons enter to the electron transport chain, and this powers the formation of the ATP and NADPH, and water is split into the two in this case and releases the oxygen. Okay, output is ATP, NADPH, and oxygen. Okay, we are using the photons, photosystems, electron transport chain to make the ATP and NADPH, and in this process, the oxygen will be released. Okay, in the light reactions, pigments like chlorophyll captures the sunlight, excite the electrons, produce ATP and ATPH, release the oxygen. This is a setting stage for the sugar production in the next step. This is also illustrated here. We talked about this chart, right? A light is hitting the chlorophyll. Here, the light is hitting the chlorophyll. Chlorophyll absorbs the light energy, and this energy excites this electron. This energy, electron is excited. They gain the energy, okay? And then what's happening? These energized electrons, they leave the chlorophyll and pass through the chain of the proteins. They pass through the chains of the proteins. As electrons move down the chain, they lose their energy gradually. When they pass, they lose their energy, and then energy is used to pump hydrogen. Okay, when they move, they are pumping the hydrogen inside, and when they come to the photosystem one, the electrons, they use it up their energy. Okay, they used up their energy, and after that, what's happening? To fill the electrons, water is splitting. This is called photolysis. Water is splitting. This replaces the electrons lost from the chlorophyll, because this chlorophyll losing its electrons by moving it to the electron transport chain. We should put the electrons here again by splitting the water molecules. But when we split, the oxygen will be released. Oxygen is going out. Okay. And the proton gradient build up here. When the electrons move, they pump the hydrogen. Here, what's happening? The electrons pumping the hydrogen into, so protons will be more inside, then they will go outside and make the ATP. So this enzyme splits a turbine and sticks ATP and makes from ATP to ATP. Okay, so NADPH is also formed. Electrons reach to the photosystem 1. This is the photosystem 1. They are re-energized. Use it to reduce NADP to NADPH. Okay, those energized electrons. A light hitting the chlorophyll. From the chlorophyll, electrons are energized, go to the electron transport chain, proton gradient is formed, ATP synthesized, making the ATP, and after that, from the photosystem 1, energized electrons forming the NADPH. I hope you understood this. So any questions so far? Here in this illustration, you also know this is the same what I have mentioned to you. This is the photosystem 1. This is photosystem 2. What's happening? We talked about it. And the photosystem 1 and photosystem 2 play crucial roles in the process of the photosynthesis. Photosystem 1 absorbs the light at the wavelengths longer than 680 nanometers. Photosystem 2 requires light shorter wavelengths. Okay, so this absorbs the light at 680 nanometers. This is photosystem 2. Photosystem 1 absorbs at 700 nanometers. Okay, light. So actually we talked about it. We talked about the chloroplastomas as well. So that they are easy. We already talked about them. Here, as you can see, photosystem 2, this is absorbing the light at 680, starts the electron flow, and the electron is flowing. The electron is flowing through the electron transport chain. Okay, electrons are flowing through the electron transport chain, and it's reaching to the photosystem 1, which absorbs the light at 700 nanometers. It's re-exciting the electrons. Electrons are re-excited, and what they are doing, they are reducing the NADP into NADPH, okay? And NAD with the enzyme which is called NADPH reductase. They're using it. And those proton gradients then leave to the They leave to the stroma after that, and after that, they from the ATP they phosphorylate and make the ATP molecules. I hope you understood. If we talk about it broadly, step one is light is heating to the photosystem 2. Here, light energy excites the electrons in photosystem 2. You see the electrons are excited. Water is splitted here. Water is splitted. Water is splitted. Oxygen is released. Hydrogen is added to the thylakoid lumen. This is in thylakoid lumen. Okay. After that, in the step 2, electrons move through the electron transport chain. Okay, electron travels through the PQ. This is called the plastoquinone, and also PQH. Okay, you don't have to know about them. They're moving through the PC. PC means plastocyanine. B6F means this is cytochrome. They're moving through electron transport chain, reaching to the photosystem 1. Okay, reaching to the photosystem 1, which absorbs the light at 700 nanometers. Okay, and the electrons gets re-energized and passes through the ferredoxine. They pass through the ferredoxine. You don't have to know about the ferredoxine. And in the step 4, they form the NADPH. The enzyme which is called FNR, as you can see, FNR. So the enzyme, this is the enzyme which is called the FNR, the ferredoxine NADP reductase, ferredoxine NADP plus reductase. This catalyzes NADP into NADPH. This NADPH will be used in the Kelvin cycle in the next, okay? And in the step 5, proton gradient is forming the ATP, so new ATP is synthesized. I hope you understood the whole path which is happening. And light-dependent reactions, we talked about them. So we have a special video. You can watch it on your own, or we can watch it ourselves as well. So this video, I think it's not working. So I will send the lecture to you, and the light-dependent reactions and light-independent reactions we will cover in the next lecture. I hope that's enough for the light-dependent reactions. If you have questions, you can give it to me or leave under the comment section.